Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to Signals and Standards with Suzie, the show where we decode mixed messages, raise the bar, and serve up real talk with a side of empowerment. I'm your host, Suzie, your go-to for truth bombs, clarity, and the kind of tough love that gets you unstuck and back in the driver's seat of your life. Together, let's turn those signals into action. Welcome back to Signals and Standards with Suzie, the space where we blend grounded empowerment with real talk, some deep reflection, and the kind of practical wisdom that doesn't just inspire you for 5 minutes. It sticks with you. It really shifts you, and it shows up in your life long after this episode ends. Today, we're diving into something every one of us feels. We crave it. We talk about it, especially this time of year. But really, very few of us actually know how to master it. It's the empowered reset. You know that moment when the clock strikes midnight and suddenly it feels like the universe just handed you a cosmic restart button. The energy feels new. The possibilities feel wide open. The version of you've been wanting to step into, it feels a little closer. And yet, let's be honest, by mid-January, most people's motivation disappears faster than the last slice of holiday cheesecake. We set these big, shiny resolutions with really good intentions, and then life happens. Old habits sneak back in, doubts creep in, and suddenly the new year, new me energy fizzles out. But here's the thing, that doesn't have to be your story. Not this time. This time, we're not chasing perfection or making pressure-filled promises we can't keep. This time, we're building a new year power-up plan that's sustainable, soul-aligned, and actually doable. A plan that fuels you, a plan that grows with you, a plan that transforms you, not through drastic overhauls and ambitious resolutions, but through empowered, intentional shifts that change everything from the inside out. So grab your tea, your journal, your cozy blanket, your fuzzy socks, whatever makes you feel grounded and ready, because today's episode is your invitation, your permission slip, and your gentle push to release, reset, and rise. Let's get into it. So, let's start with a truth we all feel. Whether we admit it out loud or not, there's something almost magical about the moment the year resets. Something about that transition between December and January feels like a deep exhale mixed with a whisper of possibility. But what is it about the new year that makes us feel this invisible nudge towards change? According to experts, our desire to reinvent ourselves at the start of the year isn't just cultural, it's biological. Psychologists call moments like this temporal landmarks, those symbolic markers in our lives that give us a clean psychological divide between who we've been and who we want to become. It's the same internal reset button you feel on your birthday, for example, or at the start of a new season. And during these moments, our brain releases more dopamine, the motivation hormone, meaning it's literally rooting for your reset. It's saying, hey, this is your moment. But then comes the other side of the story, the side we all know too well. According to Grit Psychology, by January 17th, most people have abandoned their resolutions. Not because they didn't want to change badly enough, not because they weren't disciplined, not because they weren't worthy of transformation. It's because most resolutions are built like glass castles. Really beautiful to look at, but really impossible to live in. We create long lists of fantasy goals that expect us to become superhuman overnight. We think, new year, new me, and suddenly try to overhaul our sleep, nutrition, fitness, finances, relationships, screen time, water intake, and emotional regulation, all at the same time. No wonder we crash. One expert called it the January overwhelm effect. It's precisely that. We go too big, too fast, and expect too much at once. This is where science becomes the smartest voice in the room. Mind Lab neuroscience shows that human brain is terrible at sudden drastic change, but incredible at tiny repeated actions. Micro shifts, baby steps. The little things that don't look dramatic on social media, but completely transform your life from inside out. These aren't the shifts you can maintain. These are the shifts that rewire your brain for long-term success. And this is why I call them empowerment breadcrumbs. Small, delicious steps that lead you toward the life that you want. Think about your goals like you're cleaning out a cluttered closet. Because let's be real, we've all done that pile everything on the bed and regret it immediately move. The smart way to clean isn't dumping the whole closet onto the floor. It starts with one drawer, one shelf, one category. You build momentum as you go. Each small win gives you energy. Before you know it, you're standing in a space that feels lighter and more aligned with who you really are. Changing your life works the same way. You don't need a massive transformation. You need a consistent one. We know that resolutions usually fall because they're disconnected from our emotional why. If your goals aren't connected to your values, your identity, your purpose, and more profound emotional truths, they lose their power. For example, the goal of losing weight is shallow unless it connects to a more profound desire like, I want to feel strong in my body again. The goal of get organized fades quickly unless it ties to, I want my environment to match the calm I want to feel inside. The goal of find love means very little unless it's anchored in, I want a partnership that reflects the love and respect I have finally learned to give myself. When your why is strong, your actions become meaningful. When your goals match your identity and values, success becomes natural. The most successful resolutions are identity-based. You don't just go to the gym. You become someone who moves their body out of self-love. You don't just save money. You become someone who honors their future self. You don't just stop procrastinating. You become someone who keeps promises to themselves. This shift in identity, this emotional grounding, is what keeps you going long after the excitement of January wears off. Let's talk about that alignment. Because without alignment, even the best intentions fall flat. Research highlights that people who achieve their resolutions aren't the ones who hustle the hardest. No, they're actually the ones who align their goals with their lifestyle. So they create habits that fit into the natural rhythm of their day, not the fantasy version of their life they think they should be living. If mornings are hard for you, don't force a 5 a.m. routine. If the gym intimidates you, start with a walk. If journaling feels overwhelming, start with one sentence a day. When goals match your reality, consistency becomes easy. One of my favorite books, James Clear's Atomic Habits, reminds us that transformation isn't about willpower. It's really about systems. He explains that habits stick when we make them obvious, easy, attractive, and satisfying. And one of the simplest ways to do that is through habit tracking. When you track your habits, even with a simple check mark, you create a visual cue that reinforces your identity and celebrates consistency rather than perfection. That tiny moment of, I did it, becomes a reward signal for your brain, strengthening the behavior and making it more automatic over time. Habit tracking turns progress into something you can see, and when you can see it, you're far more likely to keep going. You can do it with a written list, or there are many apps as well. I've personally found this a helpful way of staying on track. The core message from nearly every source is the same. The new year is not about perfection. It's about progression. It's not about being a brand new you. It's about becoming more of the real you. The version of you who's been quietly whispering, hey, I'm ready, all year long. So, what does an empowered reset really look like? It starts with release, letting go of habits, beliefs, fears, and emotional clutter that don't serve you anymore. Then comes the reset, rebuilding your routines, your mindset, and your daily rituals in ways that genuinely support your growth. And finally, you rise, not overnight, not in one dramatic leap, but gradually, steadily, beautifully, with each micro shift. Because you're no longer forcing change, you're becoming it. And that's the heart of what this New Year energy is all about. It's not pressure, it's an invitation. It's not a demand, it's permission. It's not a burden, it's a breakthrough waiting to happen. And when you approach the new year with honesty, alignment, emotional truth, and empowered intention, the research is unanimous. You don't just change your year, you change your whole life. Now I want you to pause for a moment. Really pause and ask yourself this. What is one thing you're finally ready to release so you can make progress in the new year ahead? Not the thing you think you should release, not the thing everyone else says you should let go of, but the thing your soul is quietly nudging you about. The thing that drains you, weighs on you, that's holding you back or keeps you walking in circles when you know you're meant to move forward. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't even have to be a significant life overhaul. It just has to be honest. Maybe it's a pattern you've outgrown, a belief that's never really belonged to you, a habit that keeps pulling you into the same old story, or even a version of yourself you've been holding on to out of comfort, not alignment. Here's the real aha moment, the one most people overlook. Letting go of something isn't losing. It's making room for something better. It's making room for clarity, room for energy, room for joy, opportunity, the kind of growth that can't come in when you're clutching onto what no longer fits. Releasing isn't about giving up. It's about clearing the path so that the next chapter of your life actually has space to arrive. All right, let's shift some gears and dive into a listener question. The real life, real feeling stuff that you're navigating right now, because if one of you is asking it, trust me, many of you are living it. Remember, you can reach out anytime with your questions or messages at powercoachsuzie.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you to everyone who's reached out already. So here's our first question. I want to reset my life, but I feel overwhelmed. Where do I even begin? Oh, I hear you. If you're feeling this, take a slow, deep breath right now. Inhale, exhale. Overwhelm is not a flaw. It's a signal. Your mind and body telling you that you're carrying too much. And the desire to reset, that's actually a beautiful, powerful thing. It shows that underneath all the chaos, underneath the constant doing and shoulding, there's part of you that's ready to rise, to reclaim your energy, and to create space for what really matters. The feeling is like standing in front of a messy room, a room filled with piles, unopened boxes, and forgotten corners, thinking, where do I even start? You look at it all at once and your nervous system taps out. Your brain goes into freeze mode and suddenly the reset you've been dreaming of feels impossible. But here's the key shift. You don't begin where it looks hardest. You start where your body relaxes. Where does your body breathe easier? Where do you even find a tiny flicker of, I can do this? That's your doorway right there. The Bright Light Counseling Center points out that overwhelm often stems from carrying too many expectations, too many roles, too many unfinished emotional tabs open in your mind. And here's the truth. Your first step isn't about doing more. It's about tuning in, checking in with yourself, listening to where the weight sits heaviest, and choosing the tiniest place to start. Ask yourself, what part of my life feels heaviest right now? Is it the clutter or mess in your physical space that constantly nags at your attention? Is it the commitments you agree to out of obligation and not desire? Is it the self-talk that saps your confidence every morning? Or maybe it's the relationships you're emotionally babysitting, trying to fix, manage, or carry on your own? The truth is, you don't need a full life renovation to reset. You don't need to overhaul every corner of your existence all at once. You need one clear doorway, one place where you can take small, intentional, and empowered steps. Maybe that doorway is choosing to clear one countertop, letting a single visible space feel lighter. Maybe it's unfollowing the accounts on social media that trigger comparison or self-doubt. Perhaps it's allowing yourself one guilt-free self-care evening to rest and recharge. Or maybe it's admitting out loud or in your journal that you cannot do it all. And you were never supposed to. Your beginning doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be intentional. One area, one shift, one choice that says, I matter. My energy matters. My reset matters. And that's enough. That's powerful. That's the real start of transformation. Remember, resetting your life isn't about fixing everything today. It's about reclaiming space for clarity, growth, and alignment. Each intentional choice, each micro shift, each tiny release opens the path for the next. One empowered step leads to another, and before you know it, what seemed overwhelming becomes manageable, meaningful, and sincerely yours. That's the essence of an empowered reset. For the second question, I want to kind of put a bunch of stuff together that I've received. I've received a lot of questions about setting goals but never sticking, people thinking that there's something wrong with them, also, starting strong and losing all motivation, how to stay consistent. So I just have some words of wisdom for this. So I want you to actually think about this. Let's try and reframe our thought process like we talked about before, and try to focus our priorities on the things that really matter. The first thing is getting rid of that emotional weight. We talk about our shoulds, right? I should eat healthier. I should work out more. I should be more productive. I should be more organized. But shoulds don't inspire transformation. They inspire guilt. It's like a treadmill of obligation. And then you keep tripping over those missteps, right? And the treadmill really makes you feel like the goals were never for you in the first place, and then you give up, right? Instead, let's flip the script and ask yourself a far more powerful question. How do I want to feel next year? Do you want to feel peaceful in your own skin? Do you want to feel proud of the person you've become? Do you want to feel energized by your life instead of drained? Do you want to feel confident in your choices, your boundaries, your path? Or maybe do you want to feel more like yourself, authentic? Once you've identified that feeling, that's going to be your emotional anchor, and you build your goals around that, and the actions won't feel like chores anymore. So think about this. Instead of saying, I'm going to meditate 20 minutes daily, try, I'll take one deep intentional breath before I check my phone. Or instead of saying, I'm going to write a full chapter, try, I'll open my notebook and jot down one sentence or thought. Instead of, I'll work out at the gym every day, try, I'll put on my running shoes and step outside. Instead of, I'll overhaul my diet, try, I'll drink one extra glass of water a day. And track these habits. It's consistency. It's not about the intensity. It's just being consistent. And then you add little activities to that every day. We always make big goals, but what we need is to break them down into actionable steps. And those actionable steps will motivate you to do more and more and more. And then you reach your ultimate goal because you don't give up. And that's really what we need to look at. So please take a deep breath with me for a moment and really pause. Let yourself step out of the shoulds, the pressure, the noise of what everyone else tells you success should look like, even the pressure you put on yourself. Now ask yourself, if success felt easy, aligned, and peaceful, if it felt coming home to yourself, what would you choose right now in this very moment? Picture it. The choice doesn't have to be dramatic or perfect, doesn't even have to fix everything. It's simply the next empowered step that feels right for you, right here, right now. And here's your aha moment. Your future doesn't hinge on the size of your goals, your list, or how perfect your plan looks. It hinges on the courage and clarity of your next step. One intentional choice at a time. That is where transformation lives. Now I want to share a story from a client session that perfectly illustrates what we've been talking about today. A client of mine came to me last year feeling completely stuck. They had a laundry list of ambitions: change careers, end a relationship that no longer served them, start therapy, overhaul their health, and somehow figure out life, all by March. Sound familiar? I see this pattern so often, especially around New Year's. We feel this intense pull to hit the reset button, to transform everything overnight, and then we wonder why the pressure crushes us. When we sat down together, it was overwhelming to look at all those goals. Their eyes were wide, tense, almost like they were staring at a cliff they were expected to leap off all at once. I said, okay, let's strip this back. Forget the list for a moment. Forget the dates, the intensity, the comparison. Let's start with one shift, one small intentional move you can make this week. That one shift, set one boundary. Just one. That's it. Simple, but powerful. At first, they looked at me funny and were kind of skeptical. One boundary? That won't change anything, they said. But here's what happened. Within weeks, something inside of them started to shift. Their identity began to evolve, and instead of feeling like a passive participant in their life, as if life were happening to them, they began to feel capable of choosing differently, more in control. Every other goal began to fall into place more naturally as the foundation of control, their confidence, their clarity grew. Career decisions, relationship boundaries, health routines. The momentum wasn't about forcing change. It was about aligning with who they truly wanted to be. And here's the personal part, because I want you to know I've been there too. I used to do the exact thing myself. I would craft these big, dramatic New Year's resolutions. Color-coded, highlighted, perfectionist-level plans that made me feel like I had to be a superhero version of myself. By the end of January, the plans were gone. Motivation and momentum evaporated. Frustration set in. I felt like a failure, not because I couldn't change, but because I wasn't chasing everything at once instead of one meaningful step. What changed for me was letting go of the pressure to be perfect. I shifted my focus from achievement to alignment. Instead of asking, how much can I do? I started asking, what's the one powerful thing I can do that actually honors me today? Might be an intentional morning routine, might be a small emotional check-in, might be a micro move that's so tiny it barely feels like progress. But those micro moves, repeated consistently, compound over time. Goals start to unfold naturally, without forcing, without guilt, without overwhelm. The lesson for my client, for me, for you, is this. The reset isn't about changing everything at once. It's about being you. It's about not being perfect. It's about coming home to yourself. When you align your actions with your values, your energy, and your emotional truth, everything else begins to shift authentically. Life doesn't feel like a checklist. It feels like a series of intentional, empowering steps that build the version of you've been quietly waiting to meet. So if you're sitting there thinking, I want to change everything, start with one small aligned choice. Set one boundary. Take one intentional breath. Make one micro shift. Go for a short walk. That one step is the doorway into your empowered reset. This year's empowered reset isn't about chasing perfection or trying to overhaul every corner of your life overnight. It's about releasing what no longer serves you, clearing the space for the energy, people, and habits that truly support your growth. It's about resetting routines with intention, creating daily practices that reflect your values, your priorities, and the version of yourself that you're stepping into. It's about taking micro steps, those small, consistent, intentional actions that over time compound into genuine transformation. Like my client who started with just one boundary a week, these seemingly tiny choices build momentum. They shift identity and give you back a sense of control and agency over your life. And most importantly, it's about aligning your goals with your emotional truth. Stop chasing shoulds that make you feel guilty or inadequate. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel next year? Build your goals around that feeling, and suddenly the work doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like alignment. Goals anchored in purpose and emotion are the ones that stick. They unfold naturally and grow with you. Finally, it's about choosing one empowered shift today. That one intentional choice that feels doable, meaningful, and aligned. Because transformation doesn't happen in leaps. It occurs in deliberate, repeated, aligned steps. That's where clarity, confidence, and consistency meet to create long-term change. Resolutions aren't promises to be perfect. They're invitations to become more of who you truly are. They're your chance to show up for yourself with compassion, curiosity, and courage. With intentional action, grounded consistency, and emotional alignment, this isn't just another year. It's going to be your boldest, brightest year yet. So take a deep breath, honor the progress you've already made, and step forward into your empowered reset. This is your year to release, reset, and rise. Here's our affirmation for this week. Repeat after me, out loud or in your heart. I release, I reset, I rise. I release, I reset, I rise. I release, I reset, I rise. Feel that? That's your power. Remembering it's way back home. Every time you say it, you're choosing yourself, reclaiming your energy, and stepping fully into the life you're meant to live. I release, I reset, I rise. Thank you for being here and stepping into your power with me today and every week. I look forward to seeing you next week for another empowering conversation. You can catch these episodes anytime on my podcast, Signals and Standards with Suzie, available on all your favorite listening platforms. Stay tuned for a whole new season and vibe in the new year. For daily inspiration and practical advice, find me on social media at Power Coach Suzie. Got questions or ideas for the show? Head to powercoachsuzie.com where you can connect with me, explore the blog, or learn more about what I do. This is Suzie signing off. Until next time, keep reading the signals and never, ever lower your standards.